go over a few of the problems that I gave you for homework this week. So the first page of homework looks like this. And if you notice, this is a tax table. And this is what a tax table would look, actual tax table would look like if you looked it up on the IRS website. The numbers are going to be different, of course, because these numbers are made up, but this is what it would actually look like. If you notice, the numbers go in increments of $50. Okay? So what you want to do is, for example, for problem 1, the taxable income is $83,492. So this is the amount of money that Abe is going to be taxed on. So using the tax table, I want to find out what increment this number is between. So if I look over here, and I already have it highlighted, Gabe's taxable income is between these two numbers. Okay? So I go over to the right, and this will show me the tax that Abe would owe if he was single, which he is. So this is the amount Abe owes. But if he was married or married filing separately or head of household, he would owe these numbers. And if you notice, if Abe was married or if Abe was a head of household, meaning he has dependents, his tax is going to be a little bit less than if he's single or married filing jointly. And that's because the government gives you a little bit of a discount for being married or for being a head of a household. So you pay a little bit less. Actually, you pay quite a few, like $4,000 here less in taxes by being married. Okay, so that's one of the benefits of being married. All right, so I think you can figure out how to do that page. Page 2 looks like this. On page 2, there's two different types of tax schedules. For this particular one, and I'll use 8A as an example, the taxable income is $200,000. So we want to find out where this amount fits in between. So I've already highlighted it. $200,000 fits in between these two numbers. That means that if I made $200,000, I'm going to pay $40,052.25. So these amounts right here are the amounts that you definitely pay. Now, on top of that, you have to add 33%, for example, for problem A's example, okay, of anything that's over $164,550. So to do problem A, what I would do is, my taxable income is $200,000. So I'm going to take $200,000. I'm going to minus this number here. So I'm going to minus the number from the last column, and I'm going to get some number. I'm going to let you do that. I'm not going to give that number to you. Okay? You're going to take this number, and you're going to times it by the percent. And in the problem A's example, it's 33%. So I would times it by 0.33. That's going to give you the additional tax that you're going to pay on top of the $40,052.25. Right? So for these problems, you find out where your taxable income lies, between what numbers. These dark numbers are the tax that you definitely pay. And then you pay these percents of any amount over these numbers. All right? So you will take whatever your taxable income is, you subtract it from this, then you multiply by this percent, and then that answer, you have to add it on to these numbers. And that's your tax. All right? The third kind of tax schedule or tax sheet looks like this. And this one's actually pretty easy to do. Okay, so here's the taxable income. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find out where it lies. So $189,000 is between these two numbers. So I put that number here. Okay, I pay 33% of this number, and they actually go ahead and put the decimal for you. So I'm going to take this number, times it by 0.33, tells you right here, write my answer here. And then I'm going to subtract my answer that I got. I'm going to subtract this number from it. So it tells you, subtract D from C. So whatever I got here, I'm going to minus this from it, and that's my tax. All right, so these are 3 examples of the type of tax forms that you may see. All right, third page looks like this. This page, make sure you look at your notes first so that you can review what gross pay is. Social Security tax, you guys should know that by now, it's 6.2%. Medicare tax is 1.45%. All right, so in biweekly, all these vocab words are in your notes for this week. So make sure you look at your notes first, try to do these problems. I will post answers to these problems later on in the week so that you can check your work. But in the meantime, if you have any questions while you're doing it, please make sure you send me a text or email, and I'll be happy to help you with them. All right, the last page looks like this. Now, these are W-2 forms. This is exactly what they look like. Normally, all these numbers will be filled in here. You'll have numbers filled in here. We're not really going to use this, but these are like benefits that you have, like life insurance or medical savings accounts or 401k plans. And sometimes these amounts can be deducted from your income so you don't have to pay taxes on them. So for example, I can put away about $5,000 a year in a medical savings account. I get a little debit card, and whenever I have medical expenses, I can just swipe it and it's already taken out of my paycheck. I don't pay taxes on that money. So that $5,000 that I use to pay medical expenses is basically tax-free. And so they would take $5,000 off of the total wages I make. So let's say I make $50,000 a year, I'm putting $5,000 away in my medical savings account. This amount would be $45,000. Okay, but we're not going to do that. All right, but that's how it would work in real life. But what I want you to do is, for this problem, we need to find out what the Social Security wages are. And so we have to think backwards, because the only other number they give us is the Social Security tax that's withheld. And we know that Social Security tax is 6.2%. So thinking backwards, I can set up a proportion to find out what this amount is. And my proportion would be set up like this. This is the part, my Social Security tax. This is the amount I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find what my wages are that I'm being taxed on. Okay? I know that this is 6.2% of my total income. 100 always goes here. So I set up a proportion. In proportions, you cross multiply and divide, and that's going to give you your X. And in this case, our X is going to be our Social Security wages. Now, the only time this is going to be different, normally these three boxes are going to be the same. Okay? The only time it might be, or one of the times it might be different, is if you make more than $137,700. Because remember, let's say I make $200,000. I'm only going to be taxed on $137,700 for Social Security. All right, so the most this number can be here in real life is $137,700. But if it's less than that, these three boxes will be the same amount. All right, for the second one, it's the same concept, except this time they give us two different numbers. And we have to find the Social Security tax, and we have to find wages, the Social Security wages and the Medicare wages. And remember, these are normally the same amount of money, except if we make more than $137,700. Now, federal income tax, that's not really going to help us here because everyone's taxed at different rates. But everyone's taxed on Medicare at 1.45%, and all your income is taxed at 1.45%. So I can find out this amount and this amount by setting up a proportion, just like I did before. Except this time, my proportion is going to be the Medicare tax. I'm trying to find out what my total income is, or my total wages. And for the percent, it's going to be 1.45 over 100. All right? So Medicare taxes taken out. I know it's 1.45%. That should be an equal sign. It's hard to do this and hold the camera. Okay? Always put 100 here. Cross multiply, divide by 1.45%, and you're going to get your Medicare wages and tips. That number is going to be the same as this number. All right? Now, as long as this number is less than $137,700, these three boxes are all going to be the same. And then to get this, you would just times this number by 6.2%. All right, hope that helps. Now, we're going to ignore these. Again, remember, these can be amounts that you take off of your wages, but we're not going to do that. So we're just going to ignore these and just work on this part. So if you have any questions, let me know by text or email. I'll be happy to help you.